Hey there! Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered just how many dinosaurs there were? Like, seriously, how many? It's easy to get lost in this what if scenario, imagining a world teeming with colossal creatures that shook the very ground with every thunderous step. How many dinosaurs were there? Billions? Trillions? Perhaps even more. Today, we're going to find out how scientists tackle this impossibly big question. We'll uncover the clues hidden in rocks and fossils and see how math can help us estimate the staggering numbers. So buckle up for a wild ride through time because we're about to find out just how many dinosaurs really lived on Earth. So here's the deal. Imagine you're a kid again, staring up at the massive skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus Rex in a museum, and you ask your parents, hey, how many of these things were there like totally kicking it in the Cretaceous period? Your mom smiles down at you and says, well, let me tell you, kiddo, they were super rare. There was only one of them for every 1 million people. And that got me thinking, how do people know this kind of stuff? Now, obviously, this is a very rough estimate. It's very unlikely that population density would be exactly the same between the dinosaurs and humans today. After all, we build cities, and they didn't. Also, you probably don't want to run into a T-Rex on your daily commute to work. But this raises an interesting question. Can we get a handle on just how many dinosaurs populated our planet back in the day? And if so, how do we make sense of those crazy numbers? To answer this question, we need to become paleodetectives, searching for clues in the fossil record to piece together the prehistoric past. Fossils are like puzzle pieces that help us understand the history of life on Earth. Each one is a treasure trove of information about the ancient creatures that once roamed the planet. By studying fossils, we can learn about their size, shape, diet, behavior, and even their way of life. For example, the discovery of a fossilized footprint can reveal how fast a dinosaur could run, while the analysis of fossilized poop, also known as coprolites, can shed light on what these giants used to eat. And when we find fossilized plants in a dinosaur's stomach, well, that tells us what they were having for lunch. But wait, you might be thinking, how does this help us figure out how many dinosaurs were alive? Well, stick with me because we're almost there. To estimate the total population of dinosaurs, we first need to know the average lifespan of different species. Just like you wouldn't use the lifespan of a newborn baby. To estimate the population of the human species, we can't study the dinosaurs as a whole without considering the unique lifespans of each type. Take the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex, for instance. These ferocious carnivores ruled the late Cretaceous period some 68 to 66 million years ago. Their reign on the planet lasted for approximately 3 million years. During this time, the population experienced fluctuations due to various factors such as environmental changes and volcanic eruptions. However, by analyzing the growth rings in fossilized bones, researchers have estimated that the average lifespan of an adult T. Rex was between 20 and 25 years. Similarly, herbivorous dinosaurs like the Hadrosaurus falci enjoyed a relatively long lifespan, with estimates suggesting they lived up to 30 years or more. Now that we've figured out how long they lived, we need to determine the birth rate. But you might be thinking, how do we possibly figure that out? Well, it's not as easy as you might think. One way paleontologists try to figure out the birth rates is by looking at nests. See, they sometimes discover nests with eggs still inside, and they can count the number of eggs to figure out how many babies were born at one time. In the case of the Mosasaurus patens, which lived in South America during the late Triassic period, they found a nest with 30 eggs. With this information, they estimate that around 30 babies were hatched at once. Other times, they examine the skeletal remains of young dinosaurs to figure out when they were weaned. For example, by studying the teeth and jawbones of baby Ankylosaurus, which are much smaller than the fully grown version. They can determine when they were ready to eat solid food. From there, they estimate that the weaning age was around 9 months. With these clues, they can estimate the birth rate. For instance, if the female ankylosaurs gave birth once every 3 years, then the population would grow steadily over time. And don't forget about the sex ratio. Male to female ratios in dinosaur populations can vary, which can impact population growth rates. Some species may have had more males than females, while others may have had a balanced ratio. To determine the sex ratio, paleontologists study the pelvic structure of dinosaurs in species where the sexes have distinct pelvic features. This approach provides valuable insights into the composition of the population. Now that we've considered all these factors, we're ready to put all this information into a formula. If you remember back to your high school math class, you might recall the basic formula for exponential growth. It's simple enough, right? You start with a certain number of organisms, multiply it by the growth rate, and then add up the population over time. But this doesn't take into account the carrying capacity of the environment, which is the maximum population size that a particular environment can support. As the dinosaur population approaches the carrying capacity, resources become more scarce and the growth rate slows down. Therefore, we need to modify the formula to reflect these factors. Okay, here's the equation we'll be using. And I know it looks intimidating, but let's break it down together. N represents the population size, R stands for the intrinsic growth rate, which considers the birth rate and death rate, K is the carrying capacity, and T is the time elapsed. Let's plug in the numbers and see what we get. Assuming an intrinsic growth rate of 0.05, a carrying capacity of 10,000, and a time frame of 100 million years, the equation reveals that the maximum population size for this dinosaur species could reach nearly 4 billion individuals. Mind-blowing, right? However, it's important to note that these numbers are just estimates based on the information we have available. For example, if we lower the intrinsic growth rate to 0.02 or to percent, the maximum population size drops dramatically to around 1 billion. That's a huge range. And remember, this is just one species. When we extrapolate this data to estimate the total number of dinosaurs on Earth, the numbers become astronomical. Researchers estimate that there could have been as many as 40 trillion dinosaurs roaming the planet during the peak of their reign. But hold on, I know what you're thinking. Aren't you forgetting something? The asteroid impact, of course. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten. To account for the asteroid impact, we simply need to adjust the time variable in our equation by shortening the time frame to the dinosaur's lifespan, which ended approximately 66 million years ago. We can see how the population dynamics changed in the lead up to their extinction. And while the numbers are still mind-boggling, they paint a clearer picture of the impact event's devastating consequences. It's important to remember that these numbers represent more than just individuals. They embody entire ecosystems. When we think about the massive herds of herbivores, the packs of carnivores, and the intricate relationships between predators and their prey, it becomes clear that the impact of the asteroid went far beyond the loss of a few species. It forever altered the course of life on Earth. Okay, now that we've done the math, what does it all mean? Understanding how scientists estimate dinosaur populations helps us appreciate the incredible diversity and abundance of life that once thrived on our planet. It also gives us a glimpse into the complex dynamics of ecosystems and the delicate balance that exists in nature. By studying the factors that influence population growth, such as birth rates, death rates, and carrying capacity, we gain insights into the forces that shape the natural world. Moreover, this knowledge allows us to better understand the impact of catastrophic events like asteroid collisions on the evolution of life. by analyzing the population dynamics of dinosaurs before and after such events. We can learn about the resilience and adaptability of life in the face of adversity. As we continue to uncover more about the ancient world, we'll undoubtedly refine our estimates of dinosaur populations. With each new discovery and technological advancement, we get closer to understanding the magnitude of these magnificent creatures. The more we learn, the more we realize how truly special and awe-inspiring the dinosaur era was in the history of life on Earth. So next time you stand in front of a towering dinosaur skeleton in a museum or marvel at a fossil on display, take a moment to appreciate not just the individual creature, but the entire ecosystem from which it came. Remember the billions upon trillions of dinosaurs that once roamed the planet. Their legacy lives on in the rocks and fossils, reminding us of the incredible journey of life through time. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the amazing world of dinosaurs, stay tuned for more videos. We'll see you next time.